Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. Once again, I'm Bradley and I'm joined by Stu. And guess what? I've butchered another intro because that's what I do. Life's miserable. We're here to bring you joy. Video games, other chat, and all that. God, I've been rubbish as a kids' TV presenter. Stu, how you doing?
Yeah, you got to kind of vamp, haven't you? You got to be able to do it in the moment in a way that doesn't disturb and upset children. So I could do the vamping thing, but I don't think I could do the non-disturbing thing.
Hello, children.
A challenge.
Welcome to the puppet show.
See, this is why you're not in the children's entertainment business. You might say.
Well, that and the restraining order and everything.
Yeah. And the fact that you sound more like Pennywise than you do anyone like, off BBC.
The BBC would still have me.
Probably. You're low bar.
I am, yeah. I'm the person that women settle for. It's just I'm 50. I've got a bunch of cats. Brad will do.
Oh dear.
I say when I consider I've got a loving family and that. It's just all settle. Apparently, I'm only good enough now for 50-plus-year-old cat women
who are perfectly valid. Great.
Oh yeah.
Great section of society. No. This is going on a very dark tangent already.
I can put it back round. On TikTok. There's a young woman on TikTok who's like in her 20s, and she's defined herself as already being a crazy cat lady because she's got a whole bunch of cats. She lives in a flat and she's got a whole bunch of cats, and that's basically her TikTok channel. And I find it kind of wholesome. I find it really nice and refreshing to watch. It's just like she's lent into it really well.
Excellent.
And it's just one of those ones I watch and go, oh, that's nice. I like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, there's absolutely no problem with having a load of pets as long as you look after them properly and stuff like that. And there's talking of TikTok. There's a woman on TikTok who I think she's a student. She's comparatively young and found an injured pigeon, and now the pigeon belongs to her. Like it wouldn't. Like she nursed it back to health and it wouldn't leave her, so she's now got her own pigeon.
Where does she live? Please tell me she lives in the northeast.
Why?
Because we can remake Geordie Racer.
Oh God, yeah, I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Oh, Geordie Racer was amazing. I loved it. It around the time of the old Magic E and all of that lot as well.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
It was. But yeah, Geordie Racer. It's quite dark for what it actually was. It was like it was proper grim. It's like it didn't paint a nice picture of what it was like up north.
No, well, that's it. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, that's exactly what like kids' TV was like. It was just like it's like adult drama, but with no nudity or violence or
And just a lot more depressing.
But it still dealt with like really grown up issues. It was really depressing. It's like, great, thanks for that. Oh, and there was Nosy Bonk to terrify you as well. If you've not seen Nosy Bonk, audience, then Google it.
And I remember when Ain't the Deck with PJ and Duncan, and the big four-headed one went blind.
I don't know where. The thing is, they stand like on telly as Ant and Dec to the camera, always.
Yes.
But I can never remember which one stands where, so it's pointless.
No, I think the big four-headed one's Ant. And he's the one who went blind.
Yeah.
Paint or something went in his face and he went blind.
Yeah, it was a paintball gun or something, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then you had the guy with the big old beard, who was seemed to be all their mentors. Was it like a kids' zone? Were it a kids' zone? Was it? Or was it a kids' zone, Byker Grove? Or no,
like a social
community
club.
Centre
type
thing.
Yeah.
The guy with the big old tash used to look after him and everything.
That's right.
But do you know where you can't find PJ and Duncan?
Where's that?
In video games, Stu.
Oh, thank God.
Definitely can't find PJ at the moment because they're never going to bring out Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Is there a character called PJ in that?
Is that what it's called, the pig?
I have no idea. I've never played it.
You've never played Beyond Good and Evil?
Nope, never appealed to me.
Pirate that shit. Pirate it. Obviously, don't give Ubisoft your money. Pirate it because it was bloody brilliant.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we never did get a second one. But anyway, talking of second ones, let's try this again. What have you been playing, Stu? That was a better second segue, that. Look at that.
Second one? But I will tell you what I've been playing anyway. I could go with my second one just to tie in with the segue. Yeah, go on, let's do that. So the second one I've been playing, as the first one, is Persona 5 Royal, which...
I know. I saw your achievements starting to pop up on Steam
Yeah.
and went, I know what we're talking about.
I know, right? And that's so weird, because I've never been interested in it. And I don't know why I've never really been interested in it. I think it was people saying, oh, it takes a long time to get going, and then it isn't classic JRPG and all of this. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds a bit wrong. And then I can't remember what switched me, but I watched a video. I must have seen a video of something that just like triggered me to go, yeah, I'm getting that. And I think it was because it looks so good. It looks like something I want to see in games, and I don't see often enough. And that's kind of like this magical realism of kind of, you take, young people, you give them a cel-shaded glow up, you give them lots of different costumes, you don't sexualize them, you also make it very stylish, and then you make an RPG out of it. It's like, yeah, I've waited a long time for that sort of thing to come to the fore. And I guess like the previous games did it as well. But yeah, as I say, I was put off before, but saw some videos that just seemed to twig with me and yeah, seem like the right thing. And for those who don't know, that I think one of the reasons it's kind of like, when you know about Persona, you know about it. If you don't, you haven't got a clue, is because it takes so long to get going. It's very deliberately paced, to put it kindly, in a way that I'm enjoying, but a lot of people wouldn't. And that's because it takes that thing of they are high school students, and it's about high school students' lives with this, as I say, magical realism thing stuck on top of it. So it's kind of like fantasy elements get drifted in, and that becomes part of their lives with their reality, that it kind of like, there is mundanity to it, and it's very beautiful to look at, very stylish, but very mundane. And it kind of layers things up so that you're kind of reaching and acclimatizing with the characters. And I'm like 7 hours in now, and it's only really starting to feel like I'm outside of tutorial. And
oh, you're not.
I probably still am. Yeah.
You're nowhere near outside tutorial.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. But yeah, it's kind of like it chops and changes between giving you autonomy and wandering around, to scripted sections, to battle sections. And that's not something that happens in RPGs very often. It's normally either cutscenes or you're fighting or whatever. But yeah, there's just something about it, and I think it's because it tackles stuff that really matters to kids. It sort of deals with appearance and popularity and clothes and social hierarchy and status and abuse, like physical abuse, and it deals with a lot of stuff, and it doesn't do it in a very overt way.
That, because what I will say that is, have you finished the first palace yet?
No.
Right, I won't mention anything, because I would say, trigger warning, we'll talk about this next bit, but I don't want to ruin anything. So at least I know when I cut in, I'm not going to spoil anything for you as well. So go on, you carry on, and I'll follow up after.
Yeah, no worries. Not really much else to say other than it's I really like the way it handles it. It's very particular. Anyone expecting like a standard RPG, you're going to be really disappointed. But if you kind of gel with its pace and the funny way it structures the game, and it's almost like a narrative storybook experience as well. It's kind of like playing an anime, but it's more like reading a manga for the most part. But I do like the combat when I get to it, which is comparatively rare. And so far, it gets a really big thumbs up just because it feels so unusual and so confidently put together. Its message just seems so confident to me as well.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things with the Persona games, and I think especially in 5, but more so than 3 and 4. I started on Persona 3 Portable, and I didn't quite get it then, so I'm looking forward to going back to that when that gets a Steam release. Sorry. I put tons of hours into Persona 4. Like I finished it at the point where my story was completed. And I do recommend you playing that once you're done with Persona 5, by the way. But what I found with the Persona games, say particularly in 5, is it writes teenagers in a way that it feels like it's someone who understands teenagers.
Yeah.
They're immature, but immature in the right way.
Yes.
They get confused over certain things. They're easily led astray. And they react to things in a way where you go, as an adult with life experience, you go, oh God, you don't do that like that. And why are they acting like that? Why are they making a big deal out of this? But you realise they're teenagers. We were supposed to, like, again, we don't plan these, but the intro, we were talking about, like, Byker Grove, you know, you could look at Grange Hill and other such children's dramas and stuff like that, and how they, I think, dealt with teenagers and kids in a better way than any adult drama ever does, because they're understood. It's almost like they get input from teenagers. And Persona feels that as well, really, really well. So, you say, like you said, it doesn't sexualise the characters. Now, in the Persona games, at times, they do, but it's not sexualised in terms of, oh, here's some titillation for you, the viewer. They're sexualised as teenagers would sexualise their peers. And it feels realistic. You don't feel grubby watching it, because that was always part of my concern, was like, oh my God, you know, they're talking, like, the way they talk about sex in this game, or the way they sort of like talk about the female form and lust after people, like I'm talking more in 4 on this side as well. It's like, oh, is this right? Should I? And it's like, no, because when I was a teenager, I remember what I was like as a teenager. You know, oh, she's well fit. Oh, she's the one who's got boobs already and stuff like that. That's what you was like as a teenager, and that's what these are like as teenagers. It's written so well, and they make teenager mistakes, and they have teenager attitudes. And what I really like is they take on these real world problems and they affect in the real world, but it's all, as you said, it's fantasized to them at the same time. But that fantasy is real, much in the way that almost, I think the closest thing to it in some ways is Rugrats.
Right.
They live in this real world in Rugrats, but they go off on their fantastical adventures, where a toy suddenly becomes an actual real dinosaur or something like that. Or going from the front room to the kitchen in Rugrats is like a trek across this vast desert or whatever in their minds. And it's what the Persona games do really well. They take what could be mundane and ordinary and fantasise it in a way that makes sense to those teenagers. It's absolutely brilliant in the way it does that. And then on top of that, as you said, it doesn't drip feed you like, oh, here's a load of talking, here's 2 minutes of gameplay, and then another 5 minutes of talking, another minute of gameplay, here's another 10 minutes of talking, another bit of... It basically goes, look, here's a whole bunch of juxtaposition and everything, and let's set it all up. Now, off you go into a dungeon for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or however long you want. And it lets you actually play the game. And then you might get another 2, 3, 4, 5 hours where you're not back in a dungeon. But again, the writing and the character interaction and the bits you do to get in a job, your social things that you do and everything all works so well that you don't miss that dungeon gameplay. Whereas a lot of other RPGs, I think you miss that battle or the actual gameplay part because the interactions between are so boring. This isn't boring. It takes the mundane and makes it exciting. And it's just, I think it's one of the best series out there. But you can't, it's very hard to sell to somebody.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm definitely really enjoying it. And the sexualization thing I agree with as well. It's like just because there is flesh on display doesn't necessarily make it sexual. And I think that the fact that the sort of a lot of the characters are quite androgynous, even though they're clearly male and female coded, they are quite androgynous, which is a feature of a lot of anime, and that I think that helps as well with all different sexualities relating to the characters, and dress up is a big factor, like it is with with teenagers particularly. And yeah, like you said, even though there's like flesh on display, it isn't really done in a kind of male gaze kind of a way, and I think that must be borne out by the fact that it's an incredibly popular series with women as well. It's from what I understand, it's very, very big across both male and female.
And it deals with proper subjects as well. It deals with sexual assault and stuff like that in a very nuanced way, I think. And in the Persona 4, it dealt with coming out as well, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe that's something that's aged really badly, because, with Persona 4, we're looking at, 10, 15 years old now, Persona 4, maybe even older. And I thought, maybe it's dealt with coming out in a bad way. Maybe it doesn't hold up today. And I retrod the story, and it actually deals with it fairly well. It still holds up today, like the pressures like a character has with coming out, and the way peers treat them and other people treat them, and the way they grow and develop is all really interesting, and it all sort of like still works. It's not perfect, It's you look at it and go, oh, yeah, we've moved on from that, but it's not like when you go back and watch, I don't know, something like Gimme 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 on TV, which I think paints homosexuality in a certain light, which I don't think holds up today, that has aged really poorly. It doesn't do that. It's there's some bits you look at it and go, oh, maybe not, but other parts you go, actually, yeah, do you know what? I can see that's how it would be like for a teenager still. Especially a teenager living somewhere that's as conservative in some ways as Japan.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Japan's really forward thinking in so many ways, but it's still somehow still quite conservative in tradition. So it's and it deals with it all. And the entire series, well, from 3 onwards, is just really, really good.
Cool.
Although Morgana's still not as good as Teddy. Teddy's still my favourite from Persona 4.
Right. Cool. Yeah, no, I really like Morgana. I would, because it's cute. But there you go. That's the whole point, isn't it?
We missed a trick because we got a little black and white cat a few weeks back. And it's black and it's got a white chin. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as Morgana. We missed a trick there. But yeah. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm about 30 to 40 hours in now.
Yikes.
And I'm not slowing down. I'm not bored. It's holding my attention. So that tells you how good it is.
It does. And I assume you're playing it on deck because...
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the Persona games. This is why I didn't play it properly before. I bought it before on PlayStation. Got about 10 minutes in and just went, I can't play this on a big screen.
Yeah.
What the hell am I even thinking? I've got kids running around, I can't, it's very difficult to concentrate on it. And Persona 4 I played on the Vita. And it's a handheld game for me. And it's gone from playing 10 minutes because I bought it to I can't put it down. It's my equivalent of a good book.
Yeah, I'm right there in the same space as you at the moment. I'm really, really loving it. Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, good. I can't wait to hear more of your thoughts as you progress through it. So, moving on from Persona to something completely different. A game I've been playing for a good couple of weeks now, and I've been embargoed, is Flat Eye. Which is a resource management game set in it's like a convenience store stroke garage type place. Like in I'm assuming it's meant to be based in America, but it's kind of generic anyway. But yeah, you kind of run this convenience store in a distant, not so distant future type place. And basically what you've got to do in this game is resource management this store, build it up so it's earning money, keep customers happy, keep the shelves stocked, etc, etc, etc. A gas station, that's what it's called. Mind went blank. What it was called. I couldn't remember what a petrol station was. But in America, they're different, aren't they? They're like full-on convenience stores in America, aren't they?
A lot of them are, yeah.
Yeah. That's what was confusing me. But anyway, you've basically got to manage this store, and that's the base gameplay. But it's set in this future world where stuff might be happening, and humanity might be in danger. Quote, quote, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and all that. And then you progress through this kind of story, and there's AI in it, and the AI seems really pleasant at first. And we'll nudge, nudge, wink, wink again there. Basically, yeah, you get different things, you upgrade. And first of all, it's all very manual. And then you spend time automating certain things, such as like you can get things that help you clean the shop floor, things that are restock, automatic checkouts, those futuristic things, automatic checkouts and that. You can like clone shop workers and stuff like that because, it's better than obviously hiring real people, just clone them.
Oh, of course.
All stuff like you've got to make sure you've got toilets in there. You'll get customers who come in and they've got like different things they want to talk to you about or things like that. But you've got to keep the customers happy. That's really important. But if you start getting negative feedback of your store, you might not be treated so well by your company who owns the place and everything because you are a franchise. But you better look after the place properly because Big Boss there doesn't like it if you don't. And I'm trying not to say too much about the narrative because it goes places. Some fairly obvious places that you've seen in any kind of futuristic, capitalism, bad stuff that goes on. And yeah, it's a really good game that I'm really, really enjoying. I can only play it on the big screen. It does work on Steam Deck, but it's a bit of a ball ache to play on the Steam Deck. Very tiny text, etc., and not much in terms of accessibility settings that I found that work for me. So maybe that's something they can improve. But yeah, overall, if you like management games or resource management games or city builders or anything like that, but you want something that's just another, build this thing up until it's perfect, and you want a bit of narrative to it, I think this ticks all the boxes really, really well.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing I'd touch really because I really can't stand resource management games, but I like the sound of the premise. It's one of those where, like we're talking about, they should create other games in game worlds that are already in existence. They should create some sort of really dumb shooting game in it. I'd buy that.
What, in a resource management game there?
No, in that universe,
Oh, just get rid of all the nuance. Just shoot people.
Yep, that'd suit me.
Just take it all out, shoot people.
I'm really not
I tell you what, visually, an FPS in that would look pretty cool, actually.
You see,
and we spoke about before. Just do more stuff with those game worlds, and we go back to Persona. You've got like Persona 4. You've got Persona 4 Arena, which is a one-on-one fighting game. You've got the dancing games from Persona 4. Persona 5 has got its Musu game that's in terms of strikers that's just come out. So I'm all for that, and I think this has got a good narrative. I don't think it's going to be big enough to warrant more stuff for it in terms of sales and that, where they could take chances. But yeah, I could see more stories for this or what have you. But I'm really enjoying it in spite of being a struggle for me to play.
Oh, cool. Well, speaking of Persona 4 Arena, I have the joystick for that. It's amazing. I know I always say...
Have you got the game?
No. No, why? Why would I? That would make sense. But it's fantastic. I know I always say, I'll put pictures up, and then I don't. But I promise I'll put a picture up. of the joystick. And I will do the one of my PS1 playing Resident Evil The Prison as well, like I promised about a month ago.
Is it a fight stick, or is it a actual joystick?
What's the difference?
I don't know. A joystick is like a Kempston thing where it's just a joystick on a base.
Oh, I see what you mean.
All the buttons. So, is it a fight stick style one?
It is, yeah.
Yes, right, okay. I was just thinking, we don't see... I want joysticks. Bring back joysticks.
Well, they've got a very minimal use case these days, but yeah, they're nice enough, I suppose.
I'd buy one.
I'm sure you can still get them.
I had the really crappy one on my Spectrum. It was the one you kind of held in your hand, and it had you kind of used two fingers. You kind of had to hold it in an awkward way because it had two buttons at the front, like literally at the front, and you kind of used like in your inverted palm those ones, and it kind of had a really tiny little clicky stick on top.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was called, and it was like really awkward to hold, but I really loved it.
Yeah, my mate had that one. I used it a lot. What was it called?
Bug or something like that, was it called?
There was a bug, but that was a cheap, horrible one. Is the one that you're talking about the black and red one?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it Connix? I think it might have been Connix.
I don't know. I had loads of them for my Spectrum.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got them from. I just acquired them. But I was only like young. I mean, my mum probably bought them for me, but I just remember acquiring joysticks.
Well, that is unusual because they used to be really expensive. I mean, they still are really, but they used to be prohibitively expensive.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe she robbed them. I don't know. I mean, we wasn't well off. We lived in the council house, but I remember having loads of different joysticks.
Connix Speed King. I was right.
That's
it was
the
Connix.
one.
Yeah.
The Speed King. Yeah. It was like really nice and clicky.
Yes, it did have good micro switches, and I actually quite liked it, like as a joystick as well. Especially if you don't have space for a lap-based fight stick kind of thing, it's not bad.
Yeah, bring it back. There you go, developers. Bring it back. Mad Cats, you'll do that. Sure, they've made all other kinds of crap. They can make a new joystick.
They actually make really good stuff these days. We're massively going off on a tangent, but yeah,
they do. All the companies that used to you'd give a Mad Cats to like your mate and that who came round to play with you. You could take that one.
Yep.
But yeah, they do make some good stuff now, Mad Cats. They all do, really. Horry, especially, are really good.
Oh, yes.
But they was always good, Horry, in all fairness.
Yes, yeah, they were. Tell you who went off the boil and now disappeared, and that's ASCII. ASCII used to make joysticks.
Yes.
And,
I was going to say Sony, but
Ooh. Hot take.
No, I still want a DualSense controller. Because I've got Sackboy on Steam, and it's compatible with the DualSense, like via USB.
DualSense,
and I really want to give that a go because it apparently uses all the proper things that it does. So I want to really give that a go and see what that does for it. Because it's a really good game, by the way, Sackboy. Not that I'm talking about it today. It's a really good game.
Yeah, I'm planning to get that on PS5 sometime down the line. But yeah, I played Deathloop on PC, and that had full DualSense functionality. And yeah, really good. Those reactive trigger things are really good. There's a tiny bit of it in God of War Ragnarok, but not much. But there's good haptics. But the best one for me so far has been Returnal, which uses like the speaker in it to tell you when your cooldown has finished on special weapons and stuff, which is really, really handy because it doesn't blend in with the noise from the telly.
Not enough developers use the internal microphone.
Yeah.
Resogun was amazing.
I know. But yeah, no, it's really good. When it's used properly, it's fantastic.
Anyway, tangents. Take us back on track, Stu.
Massive tangents. Yeah, well, just going back to... Because I played this a couple of weeks ago, and it was more on that kind of, right, okay, the Halloween thing, I'm replaying or playing, like, all the survival horror games, and, yeah, that didn't sort of come to fruition, but I did play a few, and one of them was Dead Space 2, which I have not played since release, and I remembered that I really liked it, but I think I kind of played it a little bit too soon after the first one, so I wasn't sure on my perspective on it. So yeah, I wanted to replay it. I replayed it, And what I did was I played it. I downloaded a save with New Game Plus, and on New Game Plus you get like all the weapons from the start. You still have to scavenge for ammunition and stuff, so it's not just kind of like a win button, although there is a win button which I'll come to, but I didn't use it as a win button. You've got all the weapons, and I stuck it on Zealot, which is the highest difficulty level that I could stick it on. So it was a different experience because it's like fully tooled up, all kitted out right from the beginning, but it's dead hard. And I really, really enjoyed it. So, obviously it's kind of Dead Space came out in the wake of Resident Evil 4. It was a few years later, but it's very much the same sort of style. But it was
better.
Maybe. And yeah, the sequel is in the same vein in that there's these necromorphs, which are these creatures that you have to dismember, and there's a really, really good plot behind it that I won't spoil here in case you've never played the games. But it's very, very, very tense, sometimes very scary. And the sequel is like it's set on a different location to the first game, and it's very good. And it's got some improved lighting. Played it on the Steam Deck, runs like an absolute dream. The only question is it as good as the first game? And I don't think it quite is. It's not as scary, and I don't think the setting is as good as the first game on the Ishimura ship.
Yeah.
And there were a few kind of set pieces and circumstances, let's say, that were really unique, really thrilling in the first game. They had a couple of them in the second game, but it felt a little bit more like arena tunnel kind of thing, But that said, it's still a really cracking game. It's held up really well. It doesn't even really need that many quality of life improvements, and looks amazing. If you've already owned it, because obviously I would not pay EA for it, but I already owned it from a decade ago, stick it on your Steam Deck if you got one and have a look at it, because it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you. The first one was the most tense, I think, because it felt so claustrophobic, and the second one's a bit too open for me. It felt safer. And it was still brilliant, don't get me wrong. I actually preferred the story beats of the second one, but preferred the overall gameplay of the first. But yeah, those first two are amazing. They are almost, they're the, if you really must compare, they're the aliens of survival horror.
Yes, absolutely.
Essentially. Which isn't surprising considering, the influence on them. And the third one is the Alien Resurrection of the series.
Oh, that's harsh. Not even Alien 3, which got some redeeming qualities. Oh no, Resurrection, which has no redeeming features whatsoever.
Well, I'm going with the Alien 3 was the little mini spin-off
the Wii game.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So, that's the Alien 3. Yeah, that had some redeeming features. There's some method to my madness.
There is. I'm one of the only, I think you and I were the only people who bought that Wii game, but it was really good.
Yes, bought it.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And the remaster's going to be what was that recent shit they brought out for Alien? I forgot what it was
Covenant.
called. Prometheus
and Covenant.
Yeah, that's going to be the remake, isn't it?
Definitely.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm all over Dead Space. I really enjoy those games, and again, I'm looking at it going, I don't know why they do what they're doing, because the original games still hold up today. Because I played Dead Space only a good few weeks ago.
Yep, exactly. I'm really looking forward to the Callisto Protocol, because that's what should be happening. It's that in that same sort of style, but moved on and progressed.
Yes, spiritual successors seem to be better than remasters and they long time coming sequels every single day.
Yes, indeed.
But yes, more Dead Space from other people. It was like The Evil Within. That actually did what people wanted for a follow-up Resident Evil to, Resident Evil. When Resident Evil went off the rails a bit, someone gave, well, obviously it helps that it was, I'm not going to say the name because I always get the name wrong. Is it Mikami?
Yeah, Shinji Mikami.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Came in and went, I'll just redo Resident Evil, but with this other skin, basically. And this is what it would have turned into. Everyone went, oh yeah, that's much better.
I never got on with that. I found it too awkward, but I might
still holds
revisit.
up.
Yeah, I might revisit.
I played that a week or so ago. I don't know why. Actually, I went for a period and went, I'm just going to install shit on the Steam Deck and see what works.
Yeah.
And Evil Within is one of them that does.
Oh, very good.
But yeah, no, Dead Space. I think I might actually dig out Dead Space 2, stick that on there, and play it.
Go for it.
Anyway, moving on once more. Another game I've been playing, which is always helpful to talk about games you've been playing, is Somerville, which came out on the PS4 or 5 a good while ago. Is that right? Or did it come out on the Xbox a while ago? It's one of them. It came out on one of them a while ago, but it's just come out on PC and Xbox now. Help me, Stu.
I have no idea. Sorry.
Okay, let's say I believe it came out on PS4. Or PS5 a little while ago, and it's just been released on other consoles or whatever exclusivity has ended. Anyway,
well, it's just come out on Game Pass, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I will check my notes for the other
You
information.
double check your notes while I talk. But basically, it's this kind of sci-fi survival story-based game where you're like. Your world around you comes crumbling down quite literally, and you are left on your own, and you kind of start off where your family's disappeared after this thing happens, and you're trying to set out to find your family. It's a deep personal story in this whole bigger world thing, which I'm all for. Personal stories in grander scale events. Oh, all for that. That's why I really, really liked. Jesus Christ, this is where ADHD comes in. What's that found footage film that went on to do other films with John Goodman in it and stuff?
Oh, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Cloverfield, yeah. Right, there we go. Cloverfield. First Cloverfield, which was that smaller scale story in this big apocalyptic event. Really down for that. And this almost takes some beats from that for how personal the story is. And you kind of go through, it's that whole 2D thing where you're moving on a 2D plane, but all the visuals have like got a lot of depth to it and everything, and it's very atmospheric and it's beautifully dark and grim to look at, but in a really good way. You're forced to do a lot of exploration and basic puzzle solving, which it takes you through as a tutorial in the house to start with, and it's very important it does that tutorial in the house, and I'll come to why in a minute, before you then get out into the wider world, and then things get further and further, the story builds up even further, you find out more about what's gone on, the more you try and find your family, etc, etc, etc. The landscapes are all brilliant in it, and it feels like there's been a massive alien attack, and you're left in the aftermath of it, and you've got these special powers, because whatever happened in your house caused you to get these special powers, which you can use to clear paths and solve puzzles and everything. And I find it really good. It feels like the choices matter. I've not quite finished it yet. I've not finished it yet, and I'll come to why again in a minute. But it feels like choices really matter, and I believe there are multiple endings. But instead of just going, I'm just going to plough through this, I'm having to really consider certain parts of my actions and go, this is what I really want to do. What effect is this going to actually have? And it's one of these sort of games where it's personal story-based games I really, really like, and I don't think there's enough of them. Especially when it happens in this grander event. And again, you spoke about this, and we've touched on this before. I could see other games happening in this cataclysmic event in different genres.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is like it can go on to do other stuff. Almost like this is a Cloverfield in a way. This big thing happens, and 10 Cloverfield Lane is completely different to Cloverfield. And then you've got that crap one that was set on a spaceship that no one cares about, and they're doing another one that apparently is going to almost retcon the third one. Anyway, but yeah, it's kind of got that. Now, the problem is, I started playing it on Steam, and I've then had to move to playing it on Game Pass because it runs like an absolute dog on Steam Deck.
Wow.
To be fair, it's not verified, but I stuck it down on lowest, and in the house, really good, runs really smoothly in the house. Soon as you get outside and into the woods, you get single frame FPS on it, and if I can notice that, then I can only imagine what it does to people who care about these things.
Yeah,
it became unplayable on Steam Deck. I put it down to minimum settings, so I basically tried to put it on potato mode. I tried FSR on it. It just runs like an absolute dog on Steam Deck. Now, Game Pass version streaming, fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And installed on the desktop, fine. But I'm just a word of warning on Steam Deck, it runs like an absolute dog. And if I'd have bought this and I wanted to have it for review, then I probably would have thrown my toys out the pram and gone, screw this, and got a refund. But again, in all fairness, it's not Steam Deck verified.
Yeah.
As of yet or anything. But any warning, if they do stick it as verified, if you listen to this and you are, give me a shout. I'll reinstall it and let you know if it's running any better. But at the moment, oh boy, it's not very good on Steam Deck, but it's a brilliant game.
Wow, cool. Yeah, no, I checked. It's debuted on Microsoft stuff, PC and Xbox. Doesn't look like it's available on anything else at the moment. So
what on earth am I thinking about then?
I'm not sure. But anyway, that doesn't matter. It's interesting to hear that you like it so much because it's had a lot of criticism. It's had a lot of backlash because a lot of people were looking forward to it. So yeah, no, that's interesting. A lot of people saying that the puzzles aren't very interesting, that sort of thing.
I wouldn't say they're interesting. It's not a puzzle game. I don't know what people are expecting from it. My first reaction to it was, this is a story. It's not a grand story. Honestly, it's very hard to describe in terms of without again spoiling too much. It's not a grand story in terms of like the actual story itself. Yeah, do you know what? It's not exciting, but it's intriguing, and that's what drew me in. It's an intriguing personal story. And part of me is interested because that's a personal story. I'm intrigued on what's actually going on around as well. It's this person isn't the centre of the world as such, but it's the centre of their own world. And it's almost like, do you know, like Saving Private Ryan? This is going to show this example of what something I think doesn't do it very well. Where Saving Private Ryan should have been this personal story of a group going out to save this guy because the rest of his family are dead. Now, for one, I don't think that ever would have happened during the war because that's too big a risk to take, but we'll take that aside. But then it became this whole, we're going to do this deeply personal thing for this person, and then we end up, did we pretty much win the war for people? It's like, you didn't need to tie it into what happened for the overall war. I'd rather it was just this deep personal story of let's try and bring this kid home. And that was it. And it went too far. This doesn't do that so far. This just feels like that deep personal, this shit is going on, but this person just cares about themselves, which is what I would be like if I was in that situation. I'm like, my family's gone. I'd be like, lay on the sofa for a bit. And then after a while, I'd go, right, I better go and find them. That's all I would care about is, can I find my family? I don't care about, the alien invasion. I just want to find my family. I'm just like, oh shit, this is bad, but I want to find my family. I'm not going to go and, maybe I can bring down the aliens, because that's not what it is. And this is a deeply personal story to the character. Is it the best written? No. Is it intriguing? Yes. Does it play well? I think so, but I get why people might not enjoy it because it's not Inside, it's not Limbo. And I think there's going to be a lot of comparisons with something like that, where that was a much shorter experience with much more telegraphed puzzle elements and platforming elements. This isn't. This is a lot of wandering, but it works. It makes you feel small in a vast world, but important to yourself.
Okay. Well, in that case, I shall stream that and give it a go. Why not, eh?
And next week you'll come back and go, Brad, shut up.
Probably. It's not my kind of game anyway.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I've got to try and fit it in around Persona as well. Good luck with that.
Oh, I keep doing that, going, I'll stick something else on as a quick break. I was meant to take a quick break after I finished the second palace on Persona. And I went, I'll take a week off. Yeah, no. And then put up another 15 hours.
Oh, excellent. No, I have been playing something on and off in between as a palate cleanser, which is Doom Eternal. And, oh, my God. I'm not going to go on about it. Just to say, it on the Steam Deck, it's the best looking performing game I've played, I think. Like, modern game, anyway. It just... I've said it before, but they are just insanely good at coding. It's just amazing on the deck. Incredible.
Just get them away from Bethesda.
That
they go
nice.
Independent.
Yeah, that would be
because
nice.
you can't have a major game release these days, even older major game releases, without some kind of controversy going on.
Yep.
Did you hear about the Bethesda one? Have you heard about that?
I have, about the soundtrack and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've learned I'm not gonna go too far into it because I'm not gonna he said, she said, they said anything, because after the Bayonetta debacle, I'm on no side of any fence. Because I didn't think anyone would be stupid enough to call out a company like that and then turn out to be lying and bullshitting and everything on their side, and they think they wouldn't get found out. So, I look at it and go, look, technically you're right, you should be paid more than what you initially said you was being paid, when it turns out actually you was being paid more and you're a horrible piece of work. What? Well done. So I can't comment on this. Bethesda might be in the right. The soundtrack composer might be in the right. Both could be in the wrong. Both could be in the right. It's this late stage capitalism. Yay.
I know. Great, isn't it? No, I'm staying totally on the fence until I hear some more detail. But I mean, yeah. It's whatever the truth of it is. It's pretty horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. It really feels like we are getting towards the end boss now of late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
Because watching the news and it's like, we can't afford for schools anymore. We can't afford the NHS. Austerity's happening and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Your electric prices are going back up, even though we promised they wouldn't. They're all going to go up, and this and this and this. And we can't afford eggs in supermarkets now. And it's like, oh my Jesus.
I know, right?
Jesus Christ. Will someone jump in and change their heart, for crying out loud? All I want to do is play video games. And the only way I can afford to play video games now is either via reviewing them or pirating the big companies, because I'd rather give my money to the indies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's like you say, you do feel like you're in the latter stages of the game now, especially with the whole Twitter thing and Elon Musk. That is just utterly insane. Like, the whole thing is mental. There's never anything like it in my lifetime. It's
like, and Donald Trump's coming back, and it's just like, what's going on?
Well, he's trying to.
What's going on?
He's trying to.
Well, I know. But surely laws Boris Johnson tried it, and shows like they've got to go bigger and better. Boris Johnson tried it and went, no, all right, fine. Not a good idea, I'll step back. I just wanted to hey, remember me. It was Trump's going, I'm coming back. I was like, Biden's not great, but please, just a break.
I know.
From it all.
Well,
please.
Yeah, there isn't one, sorry.
Headphones on, into the world of teenagers.
That just sounds wrong.
PJ and Duncan, Geordie Racers, dodgy kids TV shows, and Grey Jill. Yeah, that's the world. And do you know what would be nice if other people did what I can do?
What's that? I'm
going to shut up now, Stu, because I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, well, it's hard going at the moment. It really is. Getting through when you know you've got all these things on the horizon is a challenge. But yeah, you know, you got to keep talking about them and not hiding them away, and hopefully be part of the change that you want to see. And that's all we can hope for, really. But yeah. So apart from that, hopefully you've enjoyed the discussion this week. Lots of games on the docket and loads of things being covered. But yeah, no, I've got even more stuff that I've been playing as well. Played a big tranche of Neo Geo games because I created a new, well, not created a new joystick, but fight stick. Sorry, I wired up a new fight stick that is dedicated to my Neo Geo, and I was testing it out and playing a load of games. So I'll talk about them next week. So I've actually got, I played about 6 different titles this week, I think, which is pretty good going.
Nice.
Yeah. But
I've got next week. I'm going to, tune in next week, because I'm going to be talking about a game that I received a backhander for next week.
Lies. I would not believe
No,
that.
I did. I received a backhander.
Okay.
You will find out more next week.
All right. Okay. So, on that, tantalising.
Oh, you nearly did it, didn't you? You nearly did
Never
it.
going to do it, mate. Never. On that tantalising.
Never go full Clarkson.
No, God, no. Never go partially Clarkson. On that tantalising teaser, we should leave it there. Follow us on all the socials and join our Discord if you feel like chatting about any subject, including mental health. Support us on Patreon if you can afford it, or buy us a coffee. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay sane.